All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. We are back for another week of Just a Fan podcast. We have, today's over with, so we have 8 days left until the NFL draft. 8 days left until this 2023 NFL draft. And you know, every year is going to be very, very exciting. So, to my left, the defensive-minded guy, he's back. Panel 316 right out of H-Town. Baby, what's up? How you doing?
Well, first of all, I just want to say for all of you who are fans of the show, and of course to my co-host on the show, thank you very much for the outpouring of texts and calls and thoughts and prayers and everything uh, of me recently losing my mother. The funeral service is going to be this weekend, but first of all, thank y'all so much for the tribute to my mom. That was really special. My mom would have loved it. She was a diehard Texans fan. She was a Love You Blue Oilers fan, and the Texans came in. She was a diehard Texans fan. She's part of the Battle Red Ladies fan club. And up until right when the Deshaun Watson stuff happened, she was a diehard Texans fan. We used to go to Texans games all the time. That's the only time you catch me in a Texans jersey is I was going to the game with my mom. And I learned a lot about football, surprisingly, from my grandmother and my mom. They had really good football knowledge. I learned the basics from them, and I just took off from there. And they, I mean, I'm. What can you say? You gonna miss your mom when she gone. Those of you who still have your mother, listen to me carefully. Make sure you cherish your mom. So you have nothing but good memories when she goes. But I don't want to harp on that for too long, but thank all of you who, you guys, Brandon, Tristan, even Stevie, he wasn't on last week. You guys doing that was fantastic. Thank you so much. And thanks for all our supporters who reached out, and I really appreciate it. So let's talk some football.
All right, and then I'm the quarter host, NFL Encyclopedia, the Wildcat quarterback that runs this thing, Coach Williams. Well, hold on. And I can, hold on, take that. There you go. Right there. All right. So we got some football talk.
Big contract.
And real quick, Eric, I'll be definitely be thinking about you throughout the rest of this time. Big contract extension. Jalen Hurts. Yesterday or the other day, he signed a 5-year contract, $255 million, 179,000. I'm sorry, either 179,300,000 guaranteed, averaging $51 million a year, with a $23.3 million signing bonus. Eric, talk to me about this contract, man. How do you feel about this?
Well, I haven't gotten the specifics on the contract yet, but from what we know initially about it, um, it's a pretty team friendly deal. It's a pretty team friendly deal, and it sets the Eagles up to do what they need to do as far as retaining valuable free agents or even possibly bringing in some guys. Um, and still, keeping your quarterback happy. And from what I'm understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Brandon, but they can get out of that deal inside of what, 2 years, I believe. Yeah, let's say this past year with Jalen Ramsey was a fluke, which I don't think it was. I think he legitimately is just getting better. He's getting better with more experience. Um, but let's say it was, and he just starts to flop from there. From my understanding, they can pretty much get out of that deal um, with very little penalty on their part.
Yeah,
So
because well, for one, the signing bonus is real low because I know people pay attention to the guarantee money. Guarantee money is like money guaranteed at signing or roster bonuses, workout bonuses. We don't have the details of that yet. I do see a workout bonus in here for this coming season, which is $100,000. But the signing bonus is really, really lightweight at 20, like I said, $23.2 million. So I wouldn't I wouldn't imagine a huge cap hit for the Eagles if they have to cut him. Uh, it's gonna be hard to trade him because he has a no trade clause. As a matter of fact, he's the first Philadelphia Eagle player in their franchise history to sign a no trade clause. So they might be able to get out of it after 2 years into this thing. At worst, probably three. Well, once we get more details, I can really know for sure. But I can only imagine the cap hit being so large. Like you said, if he starts to flop, because this is his best season since he's been in the league, and he just finished his third season. Yeah,
now my question is, because you know a little bit more about this, what about the cut? I know he has a no trade clause, but what kind of penalties would they have if basically if they decide to go just hey, we're gonna cut bait? Because again, I don't think I don't think his maturation and his development is a fluke. I think he's good. I think he's going to get better. I don't think we've seen the best football from him. I want to be clear on that.
no, I get it.
But my question is, what? Let's say, and I'm playing devil's advocate here.
I understand.
Let's say that he flops and they want to get out of contract. What kind of penalty would it be if they were to cut him?
See, and again, because usually when I see that, I usually look under dead cap on Spotrac when I look at the contract, but it's not, like I said, all the details are just not there. So, right now, unfortunately, I can't really give you a firm answer. But usually, those first 2 years is when you really don't want to cut the player because you take a huge cap, you suffer huge dead cap hit. But if you let's say after year 3, then we could be talking about something different. But with that signing bonus being so low, that could be a different ballgame because here's the thing about workout bonuses. A workout bonus is you only get paid that is if you're there in the off season working out and you work out a certain percentage of time. You don't have to work the whole 100% time unless it states that. Sometimes it's 75%, 80%, 85%, 90% of the time. Then you get that workout bonus. So if he's cut, he can't get the workout bonus. Roster bonus.
Right.
Roster bonus. You only get the roster bonuses if you're on a roster on a certain date of the calendar of a particular calendar year. If he's not on that roster, he doesn't get that roster bonus. So when people see that term guaranteed money, be careful because the whole thing is not guaranteed, even though it says guaranteed.
Right.
The only thing you really need, the main thing that's guaranteed is going to be the signing bonus.
Right. And his signing bonus was like what, 23 million?
$22.3 million.
Yeah.
So that's low.
23.2. Yeah. So, and then here's the thing, the cap hit this year coming. His base salary is going to be about $4 million. The cap hit is like 4.7. So that's like, they basically did a contract similar to how the Niners did.
Garoppolo?
No, Hargrave.
Okay.
Because it looks big. $84 million. Oh my goodness. His cap hits like 6 point something million dollars, which is not big. You know, it's a team friendly deal, and we're starting to see that GMs, they actually hire guys to be on their staff that are capologists. That's what we call them.
Right.
Where they study how the cap works and how contracts work, and they draw up these contracts where the player can get basically what he wants, but it's not going to kill the team's cap space. You know, they're not reckless with it like the LA Rams were this last couple of years. That's why they in cap purgatory right now.
Oh, okay. You know what? I see what you're looking at. Cap hit and dead cap is two different things. Cap hit is what goes against the salary cap for that particular year.
Right.
You want to look at dead cap. If you all cut Hargrave now, you suffer $34 million of loss.
Right. We won't. But
right.
The thing is that the what goes against the cap is not as bad. It's not as bad. It's not going.
Exactly. That's good. Yeah. That's real good.
Yeah. So the deal that, and we're talking apples and oranges here because we're talking about defensive tackle. I just use that because it's the first thing that came to mind.
Right.
But what we're talking about doing team friendly deals, that's the first thing that came to mind. And Jalen Hurts is going to get the money that he wants as long as he keeps producing. And it's not going to bang up the team as bad on the cap. So they're still going to be able to do some things, maneuver some things around. Right. So that was a smart deal for the front office of the Eagles. I have nothing but, I had to tip my cap to them. Also, let's talk about the elephant in the room since we're talking about a deal for a high value quarterback. And this is, this sets a precedent for what's going to happen with Lamar Jackson's contract, with Joe Burrow's contract,
and Justin
Herbert's contract. Exactly. So this kind of resets the market in a way. So hopefully these other teams are paying attention. And it's like, okay, how can we draw up a deal where he can get paid what he deserves and what he wants, but we're not in cap hell for the next 3, 4, 5 years,
Well, the question is, though, do those quarterbacks agree to something like that? Because now Joe Burrow has also been to Super Bowl, so he's going to definitely want, let's say, $52 million a year floor. Okay.
Go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish, but I'm gonna address what you talking about in a second. Go ahead.
Okay, that's Joe Burrow. Now Justin Herbert is tough because he hasn't been to the Super Bowl, let alone the AFC Championship game. But he's probably gonna still command. He's still gonna want more just because he feels like he's a franchise quarterback for the Chargers, and I think a lot of stuff for Herbert is not his fault because you bring in this head coach, Brandon Staley, to fix the defense, but the defense at best has been ranked 28th in the league. And his receivers can't stay healthy. The best tight end he had was Hunter Henry, went to New England, and when he was in LA, he couldn't stay healthy.
And see, don't get me started talking about Staley. There's a lot of people that sit up and say, well, the Chargers ain't good because Herbert is this and Herbert is that. And it's like, no, it's not Justin Herbert. Like,
Yeah,
you
and,
really
and
have
his receivers can't stay healthy.
his receivers can't stay healthy. His coach is borderline a buffoon because there's no way the defense should be that bad with the names that they have on it. This is not a bad defense
No, it's not.
as far as personnel is concerned. You bring in a really good defensive coach and take those same players, and I guarantee they wouldn't be ranked as low on defense. So,
Wade
um,
Phillips.
yeah, I'm just for example, you want to get more modern. Hell, you could say somebody like a Robert Sala or or D'Amico Ryans uh,
Dan Quinn
Dan
or
Quinn. Yeah, guys like that. They can take the current personnel that is with the Chargers and we kind of segue in right now into what we were going to go into next. We're talking about today. We're talking about draft needs for the AFC West and the NFC West, and we kind of unintentionally segued into that, talking about because we talk about the Chargers now, and the Chargers in the AFC West. So let's start with the AFC West, Brandon.
all right, well then let's start with the AFC West. The LA Chargers. Okay. They are picking where you at? 21st overall. They signed middle linebacker Eric Kendricks, but he's up there in age. He's in his 30s.
He is a short term. He is a band-aid on a bullet hole.
Yes,
That's what he is.
pretty much. So their team needs is offensive tackle, wide receiver, running back, and everything on defense because it says D line, linebacker, edge, and safety.
And they didn't really go out and go shopping. They just kind of re-signed a lot of their own guys.
Yeah. So basically, so the Chargers have been sitting on their hands, and now hold on. I saw offensive tackle. They must need a right tackle because Rashawn Slater's the left tackle.
Yep.
Um,
Houston native.
Rashawn Slater's from Houston.
Clements High School, Fort Bend ISD.
All right, gotcha. Very good left tackle. Shut down Chase Young in college and in pros. So they must need a right tackle. They need a running back because Eckler wants out. They need receivers because Keenan Allen's in his 30s can't stay healthy. Mike Williams can't stay healthy. So you need a receiver. Probably need a tight end.
You need depth. And I was gonna say you kind of stole my thunder right there. I was gonna say tight end.
Yep. Oh, and by the way, let me also say this too, ladies and gentlemen. If you've been paying attention to Eric these last few weeks, especially last week, he wasn't on, but he was definitely in the comment section. The one thing all these teams are going to need, all 8 of them that we're going to talk about, is cornerback. Just go get a corner and go get an edge rusher.
Even if it's not a pressing need,
go get
you a corner.
That's right.
Go get you a corner
because you can use because how many corners do you need, Eric?
More.
Thank you. So the Chargers, yes, the Chargers need a corner. So yes, they need a corner, and it's listed on there anyway. So
just get a corner.
It's a whole lot. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was looking at Seattle. They still need a corner anyway. They need a safety to help out Derwin James. They need linebackers, defensive line. I mean, it's bad for the Chargers. It's really, really bad for the Chargers. I just don't see how they would. They're not going to win the division this year at all. Period.
Okay, so the Chargers have $14 million in cap space. You know what I would do with that? You said they need a safety, right?
Trade for Budda Baker.
There you go.
Derwin James and Budda Baker. Oh my goodness, both of them at safety.
They just when they come out the tunnel, if they were to do that, when Derwin James and Budda Baker come out the tunnel, they would have to let the bodies hit the floor.
Yes.
As they think they would be like a wrestling tag team. If them two was both at safety, that would be ridiculous.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I would, because here's the thing: you can develop a safety. There's very few safeties that come out just ready. Now, granted, this year there are a lot of good safeties, but I would use a draft pick on corners.
Yes,
and then I would trade for Budda.
Yes,
and man, hey, there are problems in LA. And I ain't talking about the Rams.
You know, the Rams do have problems, but we'll get to them later. Yeah,
Right,
the Chargers need a whole lot. They just need a whole lot.
right.
I don't see Staley staying around even halfway through the season. They're not, because you're not gonna win. You're not gonna win the division with Kansas City, and I'm expecting Denver to get somewhat better with Sean Payton as head coach, because Sean Payton, and we can go into Denver.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's go to Denver next because we could talk about that. Because now we're talking about molding a team in his image.
That's right. And Denver Broncos do not have a first round pick because that was part of the Russell Wilson trade. So here's the thing with Denver.
Now they did do some shopping. They did some shopping this offseason.
Yeah, they did. They signed your favorite offensive tackle of all time, McGlinchey.
Big floppy.
They cut Ronald Darby, so they need a corner.
Y'all always need corners.
They actually need three. Because I mean, I know they got Surtain, but they need someone opposite him, someone in the slot.
Because that guy, whoever that guy is gonna get picked on.
Yes. That's why you need a corner opposite of Surtain.
Yes.
Yes, you need a corner opposite of Surtain, because Surtain is here, and you need someone here. And you need someone in the slot. And get a fourth corner just because one of those two guys get hurt. Okay? So you need corners. But
so they brought in Tremont Smith from the Texans. He was a free agent. A decent corner, but
okay. Well, I mean, maybe he can be the slot guy or fourth guy, whatever.
My concern with them is more along the offensive line.
Yeah.
Because I don't trust Mike McGlinchey, and I know they're going to start him at right tackle. I know they are. They're going to find out the hard way.
Yeah, who's the left tackle?
Yeah, but not the left tackle, but maybe more or less the interior. In my notes, the interior offensive line is what's a concern to me. Guard, center.
Yeah.
They brought in Kyle Fuller, left guard from Seattle. They brought in Ben Powers, left guard from, I guess they're going to let them battle it out in camp for the guard position. Who's going to play center? So those are all questions for Denver right now. So my question with them is more on the offensive line. I'm really trying to see who's going to play tight end for them.
Yes.
They brought in Chris Manhurts from Jacksonville, but I mean, he's not a household name.
Now, let me ask you a question. What are they going to do at wide receiver? Because one time, both Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton was on the trade block. Now, nothing's happened yet, but do they get traded?
That's a good question. I wouldn't, because I
wouldn't either.
I think because we've had our battles on here when Steve was on.
Yeah, I know.
And me and you were in agreement that that's a very good receiving core.
Now, see, that's that was the thing. I still don't think Steve gets, and I'm just talking for like 1 minute. We were saying receiver group, not individual.
Right.
Receiver group.
As a group.
And they lost Tim Patrick, who was another receiver they had. He didn't play the entire season.
And he's back this year.
Yeah, so he's back this year. So
he tore his ACL, and he was playing really great the previous season before he got hurt in camp last season. So then you pair that with Cortland Sutton and then Jerry Jeudy, you got a receiving core. You need a tight end still, but you got a good receiving core.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that that if they maintain that receiving core, and they I also want to add they added Marquez Callaway from the Saints, so I think that he's a good number 4 option, especially if Tim Patrick is back healthy, like he should be.
Well, then that should bump KJ Hamler down to number 5 then.
Yeah. So you're looking at 4 or 5 good receivers. Our receivers not a need.
No.
But you know what they could get that they really should get?
A corner. And a pass rusher.
I'm on down that hill.
And a pass rusher.
Yeah.
Now, I'm gonna say this as well. We are going to find out how bad or how good Russell Wilson is at this point in his career.
Absolutely.
Because if anybody knows quarterbacks, it's Sean Payton.
Right. If you can't be successful with Sean Payton, then I don't know what to tell you.
Let me say that he got Kerry Collins to the Super Bowl, even though they got smashed by the Ravens. No touchdowns on offense. They got touchdown on special teams, but no touchdown on offense. He got Quincy Carter to the playoffs, who had more interceptions than touchdowns that season. He helped develop Tony Romo because he wanted Tony Romo out of college as a rookie free agent and got him to Dallas. And Tony Romo was a pretty good quarterback in the NFL. He brings in Drew Brees over Dante Culpepper in free agency, and Brees is a Hall of Famer now. So, if anybody knows quarterbacks, it's Sean Payton.
And we're talking about a quarterback who's had success before. This is not like, oh, this is some journeyman quarterback that's like
A Ryan Fitzpatrick or something.
Yeah. This is somebody has won a Super Bowl, has been to another Super Bowl. So we know he has an opportunity to be successful in that offense. But we're kind of playing spoiler right now because we're getting doing a preview of our division predictions, and we'll go more in depth with that. We're really talking about draft needs. So offensive line, I don't think receiver is a need, but definitely corner. I don't know.
They need another edge rusher because they traded Bradley Chubb last year to the Dolphins.
Agreed.
Now they have this edge rusher who I like. I can't think of his name, but they drafted him last year. I like him a lot. I think he has a lot of potential. But yeah, Denver. We're gonna find out what Russell Wilson is this year, and then I think Sean Payton's gonna go from there. So he's gonna draft players who's probably ready to play football now, and like I said, you're gonna find what's up with Russell Wilson. Let's go to the Las Vegas Patriots. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you see what I did there. Las Vegas Patriots. The head coach, Josh McDaniels, a former Patriot offensive coordinator. Jimmy Garoppolo is a former Patriot quarterback and 49er. Jacoby Myers is a former Patriot wide receiver.
Their number one need is quarterback.
They need a cornerback, as everybody does. They need 4. They do need a quarterback, even though it's not listing quarterback, but yeah, they need a quarterback. I mean, let's be honest, they need a quarterback. Garoppolo's a downgrade from Derek Carr. I expect the Vegas Patriots to struggle this year. I know Devontae Adams going to probably pull all his hair out and he's going to be bald.
The man does not push the ball down the field.
Devontae Adams going to be upset. He's going to have as much hair on his head as Homer Simpson.
The man does not push the ball down.
The team needs this offensive tackle, offensive guard, and center, which means the entire offensive line. You need the entire front 7 because I see D-line and linebacker. You need safety. You need a whole defense.
Okay, so they brought in Marcus Epps and Jaquan Johnson, both safeties from the Eagles and Bills, respectively.
Okay, well, that's not too bad.
Okay, so they also brought in a bunch of receivers that Jimmy Garoppolo's not going to hit. They brought in like 4 receivers. They re-signed Josh Jacobs. They brought in Jacoby Myers. Now, I'm going to tell you something that was good. They did bring in Austin Hooper at tight end. Yes. And Jimmy Garoppolo makes all his throws to tight ends.
Actually, they got 2 tight ends because it's not just Hooper. It's
O.J. Howard. O.J. Howard.
Oh, so they have 3 tight ends then?
Yeah.
Because it's Hooper, Waller,
yeah,
and Howard.
I guess they're gonna run a lot of.
No. I'm sorry. Waller's in New York. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Waller did leave. Yeah,
he's
in
New York. I'm sorry. He did get
traded.
My bad. So Hooper and Howard. Yeah, that's no.
It's not bad. It's not bad. But your quarterback,
Josh McDaniels is really gonna run 12 12 personnel. Look,
But
you know
your
what?
quarterback is still James Garoppolo.
And they still have no offensive line. That's sad.
And yeah,
They,
they didn't
they,
really.
they have all these weapons, and if you're a smart quarterback, you can figure out how to use them, and that it's just going to go to waste. It's going to go to waste. They're going to struggle. Um,
So, what do you think their primary need is? I keep saying quarterback, but I'm being facetious. What do
well,
you their
so
true need?
besides quarterback, well, you need offensive line because you need to protect Garoppolo.
Because he is not mobile.
Because my point exactly, if your quarterback, first of all, your quarterback is not good. You gonna put him behind a turbo offensive line? What you gonna go get a bunch of rookies to protect him? If you're gonna get a bunch of rookies to protect quarterback, then let me be defensive coordinator, please. Please let me be defensive coordinator against a bunch of a rookie offensive line. I will have a field day. My defense will have 20 sacks in one game. 20 sacks in one game. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a disaster. And I know he's not on a hot seat this year, but the way things are looking, I can't see McDaniels lasting too much longer. I think 2025, the Raiders might be looking for whatever you want to call them, might be looking for another head coach.
That's extreme. I'm not saying it's not true, but that's a bit extreme.
Well,
Because I get it. Because usually, I'm gonna tell you, coaches live and die by their quarterbacks.
and by the
And
decisions they make.
well, let me explain.
Okay, go ahead.
They went and he probably beat the table for Jimmy Garoppolo.
I'm sure he did.
Because when Tom was on his suspension, Jimmy, when me and him was in New England and we did this, that, and the third, and somebody in that organization was probably like, "Dude, you for real?" Or somebody in the organization was like, "Yeah, he's one of those, they're probably one of those Jimmy Garoppolo apologists that like, yeah, Garoppolo took San Fran here and there, and which is a lie, and I ain't getting into that, but yeah, let's go get Jimmy Garoppolo. But let me tell you this. If we sign Garoppolo and give him this money, you better win. You better do like the late great Al Davis and say, just win, baby. Because if you don't, there will be consequences. So coaches live and die by the quarterbacks that they choose. Now you come in and you're given a quarterback that's not yours. They're like, well, okay. Because what's the highest paid position in football?
Quarterback.
So when you inherit a team with a quarterback, and it's a little bit different. But if you own a team, or you're a coach of a team, and then you bring in your guy, especially at quarterback. Sometimes you can get away with it. You bring in your running back and it don't work out. You bring in your receivers and it don't work out. You bring in your linebacker and it doesn't work out. Those things are kind of okay. You can kind of get away with it a little bit. But when you put out the money for a starting quarterback, when the GM does that and the owner does that, and it's supposed to be your guy, and it doesn't work out, heads have to roll.
Yeah, and even though he's only getting paid $24.2 million, like, and they can get out of the contract after this year, but it's still the fact that you still kind of put out some kind of money for that quarterback, and
yeah, it was a reasonable deal. It wasn't like he broke the bank or anything, but
right. But I just don't think the returns is going to be worth it. And like I said, I know what I said was extreme, but I know how short these leashes are for head coaches, and I don't see it working out this year. I don't see it working out next year. So the only way McDaniel saves his job is this: it doesn't work out this year. You draft one of those high end quarterbacks next year that Tristan's talking about, and the quarterback balls out. But my problem is, again, you still need offensive line, regardless of who your quarterback is, because if you can't
here's the
protect
thing.
your quarterback, that's not going to matter.
But here's the thing: you still need, you still have Max Crosby needs a bookend pass rusher. You still need help at linebacker. It's not I mean, it's not impressive what they have on the defensive side of the ball. I'm not impressed. I don't think anybody is. I don't think Raiders fans are that impressed with that defense.
I wouldn't be.
So you still need another. You need a book. You need a bookend edge rusher. You need help at linebackers.
Yeah, because they brought in Jalen Jones, but Jalen Jones, man, he had like what 2 or 3 sacks the whole season.
He didn't work out like they thought he was going.
Nah, the only thing Jalen Jones did this year was push Mac Jones through the ground. That was it.
Yeah, and I laughed at that. I thought,
yes,
but the thing is I think because you have a lot of pass rushes. Correct me if I'm wrong. You did defensive linemen.
I'm gonna tell you something about defensive linemen real quick. The defensive ends,
they're deep, right?
Yes and no.
Okay, so explain.
I think it's more deep at name than performance. Now I'm gonna have to look again at defensive end. And I'm just talking about defensive end. I'm not even talking about interior.
No, we're just talking about edge rusher because this is a need for the Raiders. So edge rusher.
I'm not really feeling it unless you have a defensive line coach who can get more out of some of these guys, man.
So let's narrow it down. Talking about the Raiders draft needs. Edge, off the ball linebacker. Which if you're the GM of the Raiders right now, Brandon, and you're on the clock,
Ooh.
Do you go for the best available edge? Do you go for the best available linebacker?
At 7?
At 7.
I'm gonna tell you something. This is what I'm gonna do. And I know that I would probably get a whole lot of pushback because it's probably gonna depend on who's on the board. And I know mock drafts don't have them ranked so high because they only have them ranked like low first round, early second round. I'm going after Will McDonald from Iowa State.
The end from Iowa State.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I like him a lot. Now, I hear Tyree Wilson's name. I looked at him. I didn't like it. I'll look at it again. Maybe something I missed.
Okay.
Will Anderson, he has a lot of physical gifts, but his production at Georgia was low. So now I will say this about Will Anderson. He does a good job of setting the edge. But as far as like sack production, really wasn't all that high. So
okay, so you answered my question, kind of going on, but you feel like for the Las Vegas Raiders in their first pick in the draft at 7, they should go edge rusher. I concur with that.
Plus it's a money 5 position anyway.
Right. So do you immediately go in the next pick in the second round with linebacker, or do you address something else? I think the two biggest needs are edge rusher and linebacker.
Well, I'm
portion.
I'm gonna push back. I'm gonna push back on you.
What do you think, honey? Say something in the comments.
They need offensive line.
My girlfriend is a serious Raiders fan, so I want to know what she thinks. She's a Raiders.
No, hold on. Eric, going back, they need offensive line over because you still need to protect Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, if you tell me go defensive end or linebacker only, then yeah, defensive end first and then linebacker second.
All right, so I have a question for you now. Okay. Because you said that, I have a question. So this offensive, would you say that offensive line is deeper or edge rusher is deeper?
Edge is usually deep in the offensive line, period, because if you're going to get an offensive line, especially at tackle.
This year. I'm talking
usually,
about this year.
Almost every year, if you need a left tackle, you basically need to get them in top 15.
Okay, so if that's the case, then their primary focus should be
trying to
protect your biggest investment.
Yes, because look, and so let me put my Cowboys hat on. I know J.J. Watt and Tyron Smith came out the same year in 2011. I know Rob Ryan wanted J.J. Watt, but they went with Tyron Smith because they knew that they needed to protect Tony Romo. If the Cowboys, Eric, I take. I can trust you with this. If you have your NFL hat on, is the Cowboys offense as successful, regardless of Romo or Prescott, without Tyron Smith, a healthy Tyron Smith?
No,
Thank you.
no.
So the Raiders need an offensive tackle. They need a left tackle. So they can go left tackle first round. They can go defensive end second round. Maybe Will McDonald might be there. Maybe not. Third round, you can still get an off-ball linebacker because if you know how to scout the middle linebacker position as far as him being able to use his eyes to read keys, then there you go. You got your middle linebacker in the third round or maybe the fourth round.
I keep doing mock drafts and we're just for my team, but I'm seeing some linebackers as I run the simulator that are still there, like Overshown, the kid out of University of Texas, fantastic talent. The simulator still has him there in the third round. I'm like, what? So yeah,
if Overshown's in the third round, Raiders take him, take him.
He's a dog. He's very underrated.
Eric was the one that pointed him out to me, and I was like, oh. Yeah,
I found him looking at somebody else's film. I'm like,
right,
wait,
exactly.
Who's the linebacker? You know,
right?
So we've covered the three of the teams in the West. Let's talk about our Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs. I really feel like I don't think there's a lot to be said. Offensive tackle, you let Orlando Brown walk out of Kansas City.
Well, hold on, wait. First, they need a corner.
Well. Everybody needs a corner. That just goes without saying. It's like,
right.
It's raining. It's raining. You need an umbrella. But
they need a left tackle because, like you said, you let Zeus Jr. walk, Orlando Brown Jr. walk, and I don't know how in the world you let a left tackle walk when when you went to the Super Bowl and lost to Tampa Bay. They had no offensive tackle on the field. We had an offensive tackle. Patrick Mahomes was just getting hit all game long. So basically you didn't really address the left tackle position in the offseason, which there really wasn't much of if anybody available. So now you're gonna be relying on a rookie left tackle possibly to protect your quarterback. And we're not just talking about any quarterback. We're not talking about Ryan Fitzpatrick back there. We're not talking about Drew Henson back there. We ain't talking about Chad Hutchinson back there. We're talking about Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes.
And you would think they would have learned their lesson because they lost the Super Bowl because of lack of adequate tackle play.
Thank you.
Like you had everything going for you except tackles.
Yes.
When you lost to Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
So, like, how do you let this man walk out in the prime of his career, walk out of Kansas City? So now you piecemealing a line together. Next thing you know, you're going to be looking like the Bengals.
And I'm going to tell you something. The Bengals were smart to bring in Orlando Brown Jr. because they's going to protect Joe Burrow. They have Joe Burrow protected. Patrick Mahomes will not be protected. And look, people can talk about Kansas City's offense all they want to. I'm a Cowboys fan. I know what it looks like not to have adequate offensive tackle play.
I don't care what your weapons are.
Exactly.
You cannot get adequate protection to your quarterback. You are in trouble.
Yes. And Kansas City, let's see. Kansas City finished, what was their record outside the playoffs? 14-3. I'm not saying they're not gonna have a good season at all. I'm not saying that. But they're not getting 14 wins. They might drop down to 11 or 12.
It's going to be a problem because you basically trying to stick that's what it looks like to me. You're trying to stick a rookie at left tackle.
Yes.
Now they might have a plan in place that we don't know about. We're just a fan, but they may have a plan in place that we don't know about and be like, oh, well, that worked out.
Yeah,
You know,
because guess what? Guess what? We don't have the inside sources like a Jay Glazer or
right,
Ian Rappaport or Adam
right.
Schefter. So, but yeah, it's not looking good for Kansas City in that offensive line if you don't have a left tackle. I don't care. I don't care who it is. I don't care what the offense is, who the quarterback, who the head coach is. None of that stuff matters to me. Kansas City also needs edge, which is true because I think didn't they cut Frank Clark?
I don't think they cut him.
Frank Clark is just old as dirt. George Karlaftis was drafted, I think, out of Purdue in the first round, either last year or the year before. Chris Jones keeps getting older, so they're gonna need a defensive tackle soon. Running back, I mean, they do more so running back by committee, so I'm not gonna really go there.
And they got a bunch of young guns. You know, that
Yeah,
Pacheco kid played his tail off late in
I'm
the season.
I'm not concerned at wide receiver because we're talking Andy Reid with wide receivers. I know Andy Reid's track record with wide receivers. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, I mean, you got a bunch of guys that basically not even household names, and they make catches, they make plays. In Andy Reid's system, you know, you can make average receivers look good. You make
Hey,
good receivers look great. You know,
just want to let you know. Hey, of course we did mention that while you was doing that. It says tight end. They must mean depth at tight end. I'm not. I mean, I guess, and they do need somebody young because Kelsey's what 32, I think 33. So they do need to get a young tight end in there, but it's not pressing because again, it's Andy Reid on running the offense. They need a left tackle. They need a left tackle. The Raiders need a left tackle. The Broncos need left. That's crazy.
and tackles are not a deep commodity from what I'm
No,
seeing
no,
this
no.
particular
Offensive
draft.
tackles because
Not a lot of well, I'll put it
there,
to you like this: there's no first day starter guys. There's not a lot of them.
there,
First day, put him out there. No, it's a lot of project guys out there.
it's one guy coming out of Ohio State, it's one guy coming out of Northwestern this year, and maybe another left tackle, but that's it. It's not many at all.
No,
So the Chiefs pick us so low in the draft may not be able to get that left tackle, or if they do get one, like you said, it's a project, and you better have a great offensive line coach. That's all I got to say. He needs to be fantastic because if
well,
not, this could be doomed for the Chiefs for a while, at least for this season.
and I just think that they have something up their sleeve. I don't think.
They better.
I think they need to draft a tackle. Still, I still believe that they do, but I also think that they got something in the wings that we don't know about. Because some teams, you know, you have a guy that comes in and such will be starting at right tackle, and you're like, okay, who is this guy? Who is this schmuck? And they're going, yes, and he was undrafted in 2020, and he's been on the team. He's on the practice squad for 2 years. Then the guy just freaking balls out.
Yes.
And it's like, where did he come from? Good teams do that type of stuff. You know, we're like, who is this guy? You know, so I'm thinking they got something. They got a plan. I just refuse to believe
They better have a plan.
two Super Bowls, two AFC. I mean, excuse me, five
Five
AFC championship trips,
games. You get you
three Super Bowl trips in like, you know, come
in
on, man.
5 years, man. I know. Look, I hear you, Eric. They better though.
You
They
got to
better have a
believe that they
plan.
have some kind of plan in place, and
They
it's
better have
not,
a
hey, we're
plan.
just gonna go with what we got. I just, you know, I just don't believe it's like, hey, we're gonna go with what we got, and we're gonna see what happens.
Well, I tell you what. Moving on to the NFC West.
Woohoo!
There's a team who does not have a plan at all. And they
There's a
are
couple of teams that don't. Let me
hold
stop.
on, wait. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. There's a team as their jersey color is red, and they don't have a plan at all,
Yeah,
or
it's
the plan
red.
they had fell apart.
Yeah, bloody.
We had this conversation in the NFL group chat, and Steve mentioned it. They brought in a bunch of old players to try to do something and got absolutely nothing out of it. You brought in J.J. Watt, you brought in A.J. Green, you brought in Zach Ertz, you traded for prime DeAndre Hopkins, and that was great. But now Watt has retired.
So we talking about the Cardinals, y'all. For those who don't
Oh
know.
yeah, by the way, I'm sorry. Yeah, we're talking about Arizona Cardinals. Uh, I think who AJ. I think did AJ Green retire
I
or
believe
was it Zach? One of them retired, but the other one's still there. But he's like old anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Big
Buda Baker wants to
Steve.
get Buda Baker wants to get traded.
Steve.
DeAndre Hopkins wants to get traded, and you're sitting there with a quarterback getting paid $40+ million a year who don't look at a playbook. I've never heard. Well, let me put it this way: I never heard anybody paying a quarterback his second contract, which is usually a big contract, and they don't read the playbook. Almost every Hall of Fame court. If you go to the Hall of Fame website and you look at all the quarterbacks, they at least knew the playbook minimum. I don't care. Just name a quarter. I don't care if it's Montana, Young, Aikman, Staubach, um, uh, God, why am I struggling with this? Elway, Favre. They know the playbook. Um,
So I know we can go off on
yeah. I'm
we can
sorry.
go
So
off
anyway,
on Baby Yoda later,
The
but
Cardinals need a cornerback because they lost Byron Murphy.
that's a huge loss. Again, you're talking about potentially losing Buda Baker
Buda Baker safety.
because of he wants to. And I really believe that Buda Baker, because he plays with such a level of passion, that he just want to go play for a winner. He
Yeah.
wants to play for a team that can potentially win, and he knows that this is the Titanic. Okay.
Yes.
So
They need defensive line because everybody's gone.
I have a bunch of stuff down here. I have guard, center,
Yes.
edge rusher,
Yes.
wide receiver,
Yes.
corner,
Tight end.
linebacker, running back.
Quarterback, even though they're not going to draft one, but quarterback.
Yeah, because it's a bloody mess. It is really a bloody mess. You know, Nate Harrison, Chris Boyd, Rashad Fenton, Antonio Hamilton. These are corners that they brought in, but it's like, who are y'all? You know, I'd rather take my chance with some of these young guys, honestly. That's in this draft. Um, you know, and two of them were on the team last year. So it's not like you brought in somebody from outside. It's like, yay, you know, you brought in Chris Boyd and Rashad Fenton from the Vikings and the Falcons, respectively. But, you know,
They need a lot. The Cardinals need a lot. They don't have a plan. And
because if they asking Hollywood Brown to be the number one wide receiver, they obviously didn't pay attention to what happened in Baltimore. So,
and the thing is, they don't draft well because the only two players they drafted was very very recently is Buda Baker and not Xavier Collins, Isaiah Simmons.
Isaiah Simmons.
That's it.
You're right. They're not a very good
draft team.
No.
So, and they send on that big contract for Kyler Murray, and
that was a huge mistake.
Huge, because like I say, he can't read a playbook. When can they get out of this thing? Because they need to.
Yeah.
They need a quarterback. I said on this show a few weeks ago, if I was a head coach, Kyler Murray would be sitting on the bench. Oh, they can't get out of this contract for a long time. Oh well, no, they can't. Well, whatever.
Okay, so let's move on
to the Rams,
to another team that makes bad decisions, and
Rams.
You know, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, they gonna be they gonna run the NFC West for the longest." And I said they done after the Super Bowl. that they barely won.
And it
So
started with Stafford's elbow.
yeah, let's talk about that. Okay. Because first of all, you basically sold your soul to the devil with all of these draft picks to bring in Matthew Stafford, who gave you basically one good season. And it was borderline at that. He did enough to get them to a Super Bowl so they could win one. But at the end of the deal, you really got screwed because you got one good year. You wagered your entire future for it. So they don't have a first round draft pick. They don't have several other draft picks. They were not very active in the offseason because why? They didn't have enough money. Because they got some money back when they offloaded Jalen Ramsey, who I feel like is one step away from being washed. You managed to re-sign some of your low level guys. You brought in Hunter Long from Miami, and that's about it. So for the Rams, offensive guard, edge, corner, offensive tackle, because your offensive line was porous last year,
Very,
and then
very.
and then quarterback. Because okay, let's say Matt Stafford can play this year. Matt Stafford is on his last leg. He is
Yes.
not. Let's be really honest about this. Take your fan hats off for a second, Rams apologists, and realize, hey man, this man had a noodle arm when he did play last year. So it's not like, oh yeah, he gonna come back and he gonna do it. Stop the cap. Okay? Really, stop. So, I'm just being 100 about it. They have a plethora of needs and they don't have enough draft picks to really address everything. That's going to be another team that's basically going to be kind of let's hope we can tread water because it's too many needs.
Way too many needs.
And they're not going to be able to answer. And I don't believe they draft well enough.
No, that's not team draft well enough. Them and the Cardinals.
Yeah, they don't draft well enough to say, hey, we're going to go find this guy in the 7th round and he going to ball. I don't think they have that guy. They have that type of front office or that type of scouting department that can, get it done like that. So
yeah, it's gonna be a tough year for them. 5-12 last year. I don't expect it to be too much better. Rams in trouble.
Yeah. So moving on.
Seattle.
Okay, so now here's a team. I hate their guts, but they are a good business team when it comes to putting together personnel, when it comes to putting together contracts. They're very good. So a lot of their needs they address by re-signing a lot of people. They had a need at interior defensive line. They went and got Draymond Jones from Denver.
And Jerron Reed.
Right. And they still have I'm sorry, wrong guy, wrong team. Scratch that last comment. They had a need at center. They went and got Evan Brown from the Lions.
Okay.
They had a need at safety. They went and got Julian Love from the Giants.
Yes.
Who's a very good player.
Yes. And they have Quandre Diggs at the other safety position.
Right. And you still got that you still got that overpaid linebacker that's playing safety.
Well, that's listed as a safety, and Jamal Adams.
He's a linebacker.
Matter of fact, hold on. That should be able to get out his contract soon.
Yeah, he's an overpaid linebacker. That's what he is.
Well, yeah, we know that.
He's not a safety.
No, he's not.
And anybody who wants to say that he's a safety, we can argue about it, but you're gonna lose.
Yeah. So basically with Jamal Adams, and what I'm looking at here is, I think this is what I think could happen. One or two things gonna happen. They either cut him next off season, or they might. I wouldn't be surprised if they designate him as a post June 1st cut this year. They haven't done it yet, which I'm surprised. Which tells me that they probably gonna try to cut him this coming off next off season 2024.
I mean, let's let's be real. What purpose does he serve? I mean, just keep it in a book.
I know. You ain't got to tell me.
You just brought in Julian Love and you have Quandre Diggs. That's a formidable safety tandem. Opposing quarterbacks within that division are gonna have trouble with that safety tandem. They already have two really good corners on the outside, and Kobe Bryant and Tariq Cohen. And they re-signed Michael Jackson.
And I was going to say Mike Jackson is back.
Right. So I can't really say anything. If I had to say they had a need, and they had a linebacker too. They brought in Devin Bush. Bobby Wagner was a sentimental signing. That wasn't really about, he going to come in and he going to do it. And I know we had our conversation offline about Bobby Wagner, but eventually when the wheels fall off, it's going to fall off. And I know he went all pro last year, but mark my words, the wheels going to eventually fall off. So if I was really had to just nitpick at the Seattle, I think they're going to go wide receiver with that first pick.
Yeah,
or they could trade back.
You know what? Why wouldn't it sound bad? Because even though they kept the contract, I don't know how much more time they have with Tyler Lockett, because we're looking at a receiver that turns 31 years old this coming season.
Yes.
And that's another player they can get out of the contract next offseason is Tyler Lockett. Take a $14 million dead cap hit. So
and you can find you a good wide receiver that can be Robin to
DK Metcalf,
which DK ain't all that to me, but
Steve,
he's more bravado than he is substance. But
thank you.
But you get a guy who can come in and be Robin the Batman, and guess what? You're not paying him as much, because you're paying him on his rookie deal, so you can let Tyler Lockett kind of walk. And there are a lot of guys, slips my mind right now, but there's a guy that basically Marvin Mims.
Mm-hmm.
Marvin Mims out of Oklahoma, he fits perfectly in the role that Tyler Lockett had, because he's literally another Tyler Lockett. He comes to Tyler Lockett almost parallel. So wide receiver and then quarterback. Because Geno Smith, Geno come back.
Yeah, Geno
Smith, and collapsed in the playoffs.
And I think just like Garoppolo, his contract is basic too. It's not something that's crazy, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they didn't give him a big contract. Well, 3. So yeah, he's getting $25 million a year, but it's 3 years. They can get out of it after this season. Yeah, they do need to draft a quarterback. So Seattle, they may make the playoffs just because it's 7 slots, but that's gonna be the only reason why, if they make the playoffs. And it's gonna probably be more so off the strength of their defense, more so than anything else.
Yeah.
All right. 49ers, and I'm gonna let you take this one.
Okay. Initially, there was a need for a defensive tackle, but the signing of Javon Hargrave basically took care of that. I still think they're going to probably draft some interior defensive linemen later in the draft, because you got a guy like Chris Kasarik as the defensive line coach. He can basically turn nothing into something. So I'm looking for them to go late in the draft for interior defensive linemen and make something out of them. You'd be like, who is this guy? Oh, he comes in for run downs and he anchors, because that's really what they need. All the interior defensive linemen for San Francisco are light, they're quick, they're fast. But when DJ Jones defected and went to Denver, we lost that guy that could anchor in the middle of the defensive line, and really just stop the run. So I'm thinking they defensive tackle, and that's going to be in the later rounds. They got a ton of compensatory picks. Tight end 2. I know you're like, that's why I said tight end 2, because we got George Kittle, who's arguably top 3 tight end in the league.
Definitely.
But there has not. Kyle Shanahan has been on the search since he's been the coach, since they drafted George Kittle. From the time they drafted George Kittle to the present, he's constantly been on the search for his number 2 tight end. And they bring in guys, they don't work. Or like, for example, they brought in Jordan Reed one year.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Jordan Reed didn't stay healthy.
Yep.
Kittle played, Jordan Reed was hurt. Kittle got hurt, Jordan Reed was in. They never were on the field together. He wants a 2 tight end set that can really actually threaten defenses. Like, oh, wait, you watch this tight end over here. Oh, you mean Kittle? No, the other guy too. You got to watch him too because, oh, my God. So tight end 2, this is a very deep tight end draft.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So they can find a tight end as deep as round 5. Hell, they found George Kittle in round 5.
Oh, Eric.
I
want to bring up something to you. And I'm sure you might be on top of this. Not only are they looking for tight end 2, they might be looking for I don't want to say like a true, fullback, sure, but probably more so like a someone who's similar to Kyle Juszczyk, because you told me that Juszczyk is more than just a fullback; he's an all-around type of football player.
Yeah, Juszczyk is not. He's from another world. He's not a fullback. He's, dare I say it, he's underutilized to the nth degree because he is a weapon.
Yes.
He can do so many things, and that's one of the things. I don't want to go off on a tangent here. I'm going to talk about it when we start covering the divisions. Right. But Kyle Shanahan is the dude that tries to cook out of one pot, and he has like a whole set of pots and pans. You're a chef, and you're cooking at the same damn pot. And he's aggravating as hell as a 49er fan because you have so many weapons. Juszczyk doesn't get enough touches. A lot of players on the team that like, who is this guy? Oh, he's good, but they don't let him play.
Right.
So
we're
going off on a tangent, but I'm not through. Offensive guard, even though they brought in several offensive linemen, I'm kind of putting an asterisk by that because some of those guys might be able to play. But in my opinion, the biggest need in San Francisco going into this draft, the very first guy off the board should be a safety. They re-signed Tashawn Gibson, who played great last year. Got 5 interceptions, bunch of PBUs, made some great tackles. Tashawn Gibson is 33 going into the season. So, like, you need to bring in a safety that basically can. Jimmy Ward's leaving to go to Houston, which I predicted. I said there are going to be some players going to leave San Francisco and follow D'Amico Ryans to Houston. Jimmy Ward leaving to go to Houston was a huge hit to the secondary. Huge. And there's some players that are safeties that could fall to the 3rd round that basically have the ability to do what Jimmy Ward did. Because Jimmy Ward, when you put him down, guys like Jimmy Ward, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, I don't put them as safety. I don't list them as corner. I list them as defensive back.
Exactly.
Because they have the ability to slide over into the slot and cover. They can jump down in the box and force run. They can play deep middle and still have the range to get from hash to hash or sideline to sideline across the deep middle. They can do a lot of different things. And for those of you who follow our TikTok account, I did a draft spotlight on Jatavius Martin out of Illinois. He is literally a Jimmy Ward clone because on his film, sometimes he's lined up all the way outside at corner. Other times he's lined up in the slot. Other times he's in the box. Other times he's deep middle. I'm like, that guy right there, it could be a problem. But
definitely.
That's the most pressing need, in my opinion, for the 49ers is a true, not necessarily deep ball safety, but somebody who's a versatile safety, who can jump in the slot, who can go down in the box and change up your looks throughout the game. Because we know that Toa Hufanga on pro is going to be down in the box wreaking havoc. He's going to blitz. He's going to do this, that, and the third. But when you can change up and wait, why is this kid in the box? What is he doing? Wait, is he blitzing? Is he looking for the run? Oh God, he just dropped back in the coverage. We wasn't ready for that. So you have several safeties in this year's draft that are capable of doing that.
Right.
And Sidney Brown, his Jatavius Martin's teammate, fantastic. Checks all the boxes. He can play 4.47 speed for a safety. So in my opinion, safety is the biggest need. I still would try to the 49ers need to focus on drafting right now Trent Williams replacement.
Yes.
He can be a late round guy that you develop, but right now you draft the guy that you need before you need him.
Yes.
You don't wait till this guy retires and we need a replacement for this. No, you're gonna run into disaster that way. And that's at any position, from quarterback down to punter.
Yes.
Okay. Which brings me to my next thing, talking about special teams. Robbie Gould is still unsigned. From what I'm understanding, he's not interested in coming back to San Francisco. So kicker, Nick Moody out of Michigan. I don't believe in drafting kickers, but if he's there in the 7th, I'm not gonna let him go to somebody camp. I'm gonna grab him with one of my 7th round draft picks. You need a kicker.
Yes.
How many games has Robbie Gould won for the 49ers at the very end?
5.
Got in the field goal range, and Robbie Gould kicks and wins the game.
Hey.
Regular season and playoffs.
You need
he's won a plethora of games that way. So you need a reliable kicker.
You need a clutch kicker.
Yes. So safety, kicker, offensive tackle, and of course,
cornerback.
Corner.
Thank you.
Because you got to have a corner. You need more.
Yes.
Especially in the high flying NFC West. You need a corner.
Yes.
So, and there's a bunch of them. All right. Who picks up TCU Quentin Johnson?
Hey, isn't that the receiver who drops a lot of passes?
Big guy, Quentin Johnson. I think I did film on him.
He's like what, 6'3", 6'4"?
Yeah, not big guy.
Yeah, not bad speed.
Well, I don't have him very high on my chart. So
I wouldn't either because
I don't have him high. I have him somewhere day 2, late day 2, maybe.
He drops a lot of passes. If it's who I'm thinking it is,
and yeah, that doesn't mean he can't be a good player for somebody's team,
right? Because you can work on. I guess you can work on hands, but
and we talked about this off camera, but this receiver class is deep, but the top of it is not very good.
Exactly, that's what it is. Because
there's not a lot of alpha dogs.
No, there's no AJ Green or Julio Jones in this draft.
No. It's a bunch of 2s and 3s. That's basically that's what we're seeing. A bunch of 2s and 3s. So,
exactly.
Yeah, you can find a good receiver almost as late as the 6th round in this draft. But basically, I wouldn't draft any of these receivers in the 1st round.
No,
probably the top part of the 2nd round, and that's just me.
They are saying that they only see one wide receiver possibly going in the 1st round. That's Jackson Smith and Jigba.
And hey, I cut the deck on him. You know why?
Why?
For those of y'all who don't know, we're gonna wrap this up soon. We break down the positions every year for the draft. This year I did DBs and wide receivers. Brandon's doing front 7 on defense, and so on and so forth. So I've been doing film study on these guys. And Jigba, he's a kind of a Dante Smith, Tyler Lockett kind of guy. He's not an alpha dog receiver. Most of his work he does out of the slot. And honestly, he's not really, if you go back and look at the film, he's not beating a lot of guys. He's being schemed open.
I'm going to say this about Ohio State. They've had some good receivers come out, but they do scheme their guys open.
And he's a product of how good Marvin Harrison Jr. is.
That too. That too.
He's a side effect of Marvin Harrison Jr. takes a lot of attention away.
Yes.
So he got to eat
Yes.
a lot more. Now, if you drafted him to be your Robin to whoever Batman on your team, great.
Go for it.
But is he really worth a first day or even early day 2 pick?
No, because ever since Urban Meyer, and I know he's not the coach there anymore, I think they still run his offense, and Urban Meyer knows how to scheme those receivers open. So a lot of those guys are looking much better than what they are. And if you have receiver opens but with a 7-yard separation, you need to figure out. And Donald brought up a very, very valid point. There are some tight ends coming out this year that's better than receivers, and that is not even a far-fetched statement, because you got Meyer coming out of Notre Dame, you got Kincaid, and Darnell Johnson from Georgia. I know his first name is Darnell. Like, those guys can possibly go in the first round. I know Meyer and Kincaid supposed to go in the first round. Washington may go in the first round.
The tight end class this year is deeper, and is talent-wise is deeper.
Yes.
Not just numbers, but talent.
Yes. So Donald, you're not far off at all by saying that.
Yeah. Again, like I said, there's wide receivers. I want to be clear when I say that I think that there's still a very good wide receiver class, but it's a different type of class.
Yes, it is.
It's not. You don't have.
It's not top heavy.
No, it's not top heavy. You got a bunch of really, really good guys, but you don't have a lot of great guys.
Yes,
if that makes sense.
Yes,
all of them have chinks in their armor. Their weaknesses kind of, outshine a lot of other things. So that's the issue. So again, you might find an Antonio Brown in this draft, but I wouldn't race the first round draft pick on him.
Exactly.
You just don't know.
Exactly.
So with that being said, we're closing out our division by division draft need series. Next week, this is going to be really fun. Next week, and we're going to cut a promo. It's going to be on TikTok. Next week's show, we will be doing a pick by pick first round mock right here. We're going to share the screen. We're going to talk about, hey, we're picking this guy at number 1, and this is why. And we may have differences of it because all three of us are going to do one. And then we're going to say, well, I had this guy at this one, but we're going to put the consensus up on the screen for you. So it's going to be interesting. And then you guys can come in and you can comment who you think you would like to take, especially if we get to your team, if your team is drafting in the first round. But it's going to be really fun. And we're going to do a first round mock on tomorrow. Next week. I'm sorry.
Next Tuesday.
So
and that's gonna be the final show before the draft.
And then after the draft, we coming back and says, okay, who screwed up in the draft? Who knocked it out the park in the draft? And
who screwed up? The Cardinals.
Yeah. So man, the Cardinals can throw a dart on the wall with a bunch of names taped to it. And they just because I think that's how they draft anyway. But yeah, I know they hate me.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that wraps up another show for us. We are currently live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. You can follow us on TikTok. Our TikTok channel is only 4 weeks old. We haven't done a video in a long time, but we will. You can follow us on Facebook, IG, and Twitter. You can also listen to us on Google, Apple, and Spotify podcasts. That's the defensive playmaker, Panel 316. Hey, man, we're thinking about you. And
I appreciate it all, guys. Thank you.
And quarter host, Brandon Williams, Coach Williams, NFL Encyclopedia, and Wildcat quarterback that runs this thing. Hey, if you're new to this channel, please hit the thumbs up like button, okay? Also, subscribe, hit the notification bell, put it on all so that way you know when we go live every Tuesday night around 9 something. Also, share the content. You are able to retweet it on Twitter because, like I said, we're live on Twitter. Facebook, you can share it. YouTube, you can share it. So you can share to someone's by text message, by email, whatever, however else you need to share it, share it. Please share it, okay? And we say good night to all. See y'all next Tuesday, the final Tuesday before the draft. Peace.
Peace out.